Well, thank everybody for coming tonight, gentlemen. I really do appreciate it. Hope you come back often. Tell your friends about us. We have the link on my Facebook page, Jim Kello, MMR. So remember to please check on the dates. And if you will give Dylan your name and your email address, you can use the chat function on Zoom or on YouTube. Then he'll send you an email to remind you about all of our shows. And we would appreciate it if you would do that for us. Chris Course is not moderator of our My Bill series. And the next one of those is scheduled for October the 14th. And we hope that you'll bring some models to show us and talk about what you're building and what you're going to build and how you're building it. And I think that'll be a really interesting evening for us. So please join us that night, October the 14th, and bring your models. Next thing I'd like to talk about is our train show. I think it was highly successful for the first one that we've ever done, or that anybody's ever done, really. I think it went fairly smoothly. We had a couple of glitches, but nothing that was really bad, I don't think. And I think everybody that was involved with it enjoyed it and are glad that they participated. At least that's the feedback that I've been receiving. We've had over 200 views of the video that we made of the train show. And for 4 days, that's not bad. I hope more people will recommend it to their friends to see it. And I'm pleased that we've had that kind of viewership after it was over. We had about 60 people on Zoom that day and another 50 or 60 or so that watched it live on YouTube. Plus the 200 or so that have seen it gives us a viewership of that first one of a little bit over 300 or so people. And I hope other people can view it in the future. We're going to leave the video up for 1 month. It's both on our YouTube channel, New Tracks, and it's on my Facebook page, Jim Kello, MMR. And as I say, we encourage you to recommend it to your friends if they have an interest in seeing it. All of the manufacturers that were in the first show have agreed, and they're going to be participating in the second show, which is November the 21st at 1 o'clock Eastern time. And we hope you'll put that on your calendar. I've sent out probably 6 additional invitations to manufacturers. I've heard back from 2 of them. Brennan Models is going to be participating. They not only make ballast products, different kinds of ballast products, but they also produce the reproductions of the Frank Ellison models. And Frank Ellison in the hobby is he's as famous, if not more famous, than John Allen for model railroading. So producing and coming out with model kits of his models on his original railroad back in New Orleans. I'm really pleased that he's going to be on our next train show. Another person that's going to be new to the train show is LaBelle Models. And I'm pleased that he agreed to be on the show. And like I say, I've got about 4 more invitations to other manufacturers that weren't on the first one for various reasons that I've again invited to the second one. So I'm happy about the model manufacturers who are supporting the show. And I think that's an indication that they were pleased with being a part of the first one, and otherwise they wouldn't be back and wouldn't want to join us for the second one. I've also sent an invitation to every model railroad publication. I did that Monday of this week. I've heard back from 2 publications, both of which are going to be in the show. So I'm hopeful that all of them will be in. I have heard back from one that said that they were not interested. They couldn't do it. So of the 15 that I've sent out, I've heard back from 3, 1 a no, and 2 positive, and they're going to be part of it. So I'm looking forward to getting a lot of the publications as part of it, because I think it would be beneficial for the show, and it would also be beneficial to the modelers to be able to hear from the editors of these publications about their philosophy, about what the publication is going to accomplish, and how they can become authors for those publications. I think that would be a real advantage for the publications. So we're really looking forward to the next train show. We'd appreciate any help you can give us, any recommendations you can give us, any help finding ways that we can market it to increase the knowledge about the show, because right now it's the only show in town, and we think that if we can build up the viewership now, that there's no reason why this won't keep going even after we can get back and talk to each other and possibly even shake hands again. The other thing I want to announce tonight is TC Carr is developing a website for New Tracks and the shows that we produce Wednesday and Saturday, as well as the train show. And TC, I really do appreciate the help and all the work you've put in for it. You can find the website. It's New Tracks Modeling, MODELING. It's on WordPress, is the company that allows us the free posting of the website. The website is up now. And again, in addition to giving the email to Dylan, if you'll register at the site with your email, then any of the posting about any of our shows and any of the train activities that we're doing will be automatically sent to you from the website. So we've got some more work on the website to do, but TC has done a great job so far in just getting it up and giving me an education in what I can do and how I can use the site. And I think that that could be a great marketing tool for us in the future for both these shows as well as the train shows that we have. So, Dylan, you want to comment at all about the train show? You did the technical work.
Sure, let me just unmute myself. But in the grand scheme of things, you know, me being me, I like to panic. That's just how I've always been. To say that after the end of it, I was ready to do an end zone dance would probably be an understatement. I was very pleased with how it went. You know, like I said, I liked, you know, I think of the worst case scenario because that's just how I am. I blame my anxiety issues, and, you know, that is what it is. Something I've at least worked on and still have, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, so like I said, I think it went very well. I think we did a very good job of getting people exposed to it, you know, showing people getting people introduced to manufacturers like myself, like Chris, you know, giving people a chance to see it. You know, because let's be honest, we can't just all sit in a church hall or a school gym at this point because nobody will let you have the shows. So this is basically the next best thing what we can come up with to get people exposure. And to that effect, I think we've succeeded. I think we've succeeded very well. You know, the goal was to get people exposure, show the little guys off, you know, get them out there. And I think in that respect, we are succeeding. You know, an average of 40 people a day have watched that on YouTube, roughly. When I did the math out, it was like 43 and some change. That's not bad. You know, that's one of our best performing videos so far. You know, that's right up, you know, that's, you know, I'm going to wait to see how it performs by the end of the week, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw over 500 eventually. But that's my thoughts on it. Like I said, I think it went very well, you know, my own anxiety aside. Because like I said, I've never done something like this before myself either. So, managing the back end of these shows is one thing. Managing the back end of a show with 70 some odd people in there, counting the manufacturers and making sure it all goes smoothly, that is, to me, that was scary. But we did it. We succeeded. And that monster has been beaten, so I'm pretty confident that for the next one we'll do just as well, if not better. But that's my thought, Jim.
Okay. Oh, I appreciate it. I don't know if anybody else has any comments they'd like to make about it. If so, fine. Now's your chance.
300 people? That's a good crowd.
It's not bad so far. Like Dylan says, we're looking for over 500 maybe by next couple of weeks when people start talking about it maybe among themselves. And one person says, where'd you see it? And that kind of thing. But I think having 200 people since Saturday go to the channel on YouTube and look at the video, I think that's pretty amazing from where we started less than 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And think about this in the grand scheme of things. When we first started this back in May, when we first started, we'd have maybe 10 of you guys in here. We'd be chatting away and doing our thing. Now we're regularly pulling in anywhere from, tonight's a bit light, but we're regularly pulling in anywhere from, 20 to 30 people at a regular Zoom meeting. And now at the train show, we had a lot of people compared to what we usually do, and it went smoothly. One of my biggest fears was, oh God, we'll get Zoom bombed, and then we have to deal with that. Well, it didn't happen, and it hasn't happened for quite a while. Even with new faces that I've been seeing are just finding us and just like, yeah, no, we like what you're doing, which is great. That tells me we're doing something right. And it gives this, when you put yourself out there, you always wonder if it's, you always can't help but question what's it going to look like. Well, we're finding what it's going to look like. And that, to me, I'm meeting people that I've never would have talked to before or even probably met just because the distance is involved with some of you guys. And to be frank, it's great. It honestly is. I love it. Don't get me wrong. There's still the fact that somebody has to do the technical side, and that's what I'm here for. But we're succeeding in our mission. We're growing. We're growing an audience. We are. People are learning about what we're doing and the message we're trying to send. And to me, that's worth it. That's worth every moment. That's worth every penny. It's something truly good.
I wonder how many people in the United States have cabin fever by now.
See, I'm lucky that technically my day job is considered essential, quote unquote. Somebody does, I work, spoiler alert, I work for Al's Oil. So we need to have people to run the office and answer the phones. And I answer this thing at night because, well, you always get the, oh, hold on. We got people in the waiting room. I didn't even notice that we're there. Oh, whoops. We let them in real quick. And like I was saying, I've now lost my train of thought.
Yeah.
Well, cabin fever, you're right. I'm lucky that I can get out of the house. But, oh my God, can you imagine the cabin fever some people have? I mean,
oh, yeah.
It's got to be brutal. And I know why we have to do what we got to do. I understand it. Truly, I do. But it does, after a while, it's got to be nerve-wracking just sitting in this, looking at the same wall every day.
It is. And I found Chris's show. Hi, Chris. I found Chris's show, and then that's how I found this group. And just being able to talk to some guys for, I don't know, however long we do our yakking. Even though you guys go to bed before I do. It's just, I think
any little bit of communication with people helps. It honestly does. Because there are days that I just go, like, I talk to a lot of people at work. I do. And for the most part, 90% of them are great. You run into the occasional one angry person that no matter what you do, you can't solve the problem. And to me, that drives me nuts because, my goal, I'm there to help solve problems. That's the way I look at it. If you have no heat, I'm the guy you call, and I'm there to help fix it. I may not be the guy showing up at your doorstep, but I'm part of the process because there is a process for it. Whatever we say, there is a process for it. You make the phone call, the person answers the phone, and then you go through, you get people out there, etc., stuff like that. We got some people popping in here too. Let me just hold on just a second. Let me just.
Well, Jim, can I talk about the website a little bit?
Would you please? Because I've said because as you know, my technical ability, you've heard all I know about
it. Well, anyway, we talked about this last meeting or whatever, and I've done a few websites, and I just thought that this would be a good thing for you guys. Another source for everybody to find it. Dylan, I need to share screen for a little bit, please.
All right, let me turn it on.
So I put in the
you are good to go.
The website, and here is the website as soon as it does the sharing for me. So I know the logo doesn't look that good. I blew it way up, and it actually takes you to the website, to the WordPress website, and but the domain name does work. I got some information from Jim, and we did an about page. We got an events page, which we're looking into ways to make sure it stays current. And as you can see, there's all the information. And what Jim was talking about, email, it says you are following this blog. If you're not following the blog, it lets you put your email in there, and every time one of us puts a post up like this one about the next train show or this one here about the meeting, you'll get an email about it. It's a good way to keep up without having to go to Jim's Facebook page every day, although that's always interesting. So that's the website so far. Hopefully we'll get more. And I'll turn this off right now so whoever else can have a website. But I put the domain name in the chat, and
I can confirm it works.
Yes, it does work.
I can confirm that we have secondary confirmation that it works.
When you get there, it will change names. The address bar will go to wordpress.com, but don't worry about that. It works.
Yeah, that's an automatic redirect. That's nothing. You could buy, basically how domain names work, if anyone wants to know. You could buy a domain name and you can set the domain name to redirect you to a specific site.
Yeah.
So more than one way of doing it. Like if I was to buy llw.com, I could have it redirect to lambertlocomotiveworks.com. You know what I mean? You could do it with anything. You could have jimkello.tv and have it redirect there. Or jimkelloisgreat.com. You could put it. The wonderful thing about the internet is you can make just about anything a URL.
jimkelloisgreat.me.
Yeah, right. All right.
He is
All
now.
right, all right. So much for the website right now. I've got some bad news for everybody. Our featured modeler tonight was supposed to be Dan Bigda, and he's got an emergency, a family emergency. We just found out about 15 minutes, 20 minutes ago before we started this show. So we haven't had a chance to really try to replace anybody for a featured modeler tonight, and for that I'm sorry, but those things happen. There's nothing we can do about it, and whatever Dan's problem is, we wish him the best and hope everything turns out well. And whatever it is, hope everybody has a speedy recovery and no real harm to anybody. So I hope you'll give Dan your best wishes, and we'll look forward to seeing him sometime in the future.
Hey, Jim, you want to run a quick My Build? That would be a good way to fill the evening.
We can do that. We can certainly do that. You want to take care of that for us?
Sure. So I know, I mean, for those that, well, probably it hasn't been put out there much yet, but I ended up buying a laser last week. So I've been playing with it quite a bit. So I've got some things to show.
Did you buy? What kind did you buy?
I've got an Epilogue Mini 18.
Huh.
I got it. Actually, the guy that was doing a lot of the laser cutting for me bought a new laser, and I had the opportunity to buy his old one. And because I got a promotion at work, it was like it seemed like a logical choice. So
Yeah.
we went with it. And fortunately, my wife was on board with me getting it. So
Oh, that's
what's that? She says, "Yay, wife."
great.
So let's see here if I can queue up. I'll show a couple quick pictures of. Let's see, I got that one.
Are you going to start doing all your own laser work now, Chris?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to. We'll see how things work out. Some of the stuff I may have to get other people to do. I don't know, but as of right now, it looks pretty promising. I can cut pretty much whatever I want at this point.
That's great. That's
Yep.
fantastic. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. So one thing I can share is one of my little projects that I started a while ago. Actually, it's fairly recent project, actually. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. Yeah, I got this little traffic tower that I've been working on. There are some prototypes of it out there.
Not to rain on your parade, but we can't see the picture. We just see the thumbnail.
Oh, you don't? What the? Oh, I see what's going on here. All right. How about now?
You guys better be careful. You're going to start making me look like an expert.
What in the world?
I keep seeing it pop up and disappear.
How's that?
Yeah, it's still disappearing.
Popped up and disappeared.
That's weird.
Oh, which screen are you sharing?
Yeah, I'm sharing the
It's probably bringing it up on another screen.
that's what I'm wondering. Let's see here. Just thinking about it. And then let me see if I can redirect it. Hang on a second. Share screen, go to that one. You know what? I wonder if it's this one. There. How's that?
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
it stayed there.
We can see it now.
All right. So this is a neat little building. I just decided to try, and I've been wanting to try some stuff with 8-sided buildings, and I actually had one that I did a while ago. Never really finished it, and I pulled it out and was like, oh, well, look at this. This is how somebody else did it. So I got the idea on how to do that. And then I got some other ideas. Like if you'll notice, you've got these, you've got the lower supports that are coming out of the sides there. Those will actually have little mini roofs on them. And structurally, basically what it is you've got 8 pieces that go around an octagon lower and an upper piece. The actual upper piece looks somewhat similar to the one where the supports are sticking out below here, up in the top. And basically the whole thing just fits together pretty compactly. You can glue it in place and put a rubber band around it, and it seems to hold it together pretty well while the glue dries. Then you essentially do the same thing with the bottom, except you have to have the top assembled in order for that to fit together properly. So there's that. Let's see here. I will go back and.
You gonna detail the interior of that, Chris?
I hadn't planned on it, but that's a definite possibility.
Particularly with all the windows for the second floor,
What's that?
particularly with all the windows around the
Yeah,
second
yeah, it
floor.
is. It's very public, so.
Yeah,
Then I
that'd be
can
neat though to see.
Chris Paul Bont here. I thought that was going to be a walkway around the bottom of the second floor.
Yeah, if you hang on, I'll see if I can find pictures of the one that I was using for inspiration. Let's see here.
Paul, I agree with you. That's what I thought it was too.
Yeah, it's actually going to be
It'd be a nice use for it.
Yeah, something different with a railing and so forth.
yeah. All right.
Also a good way to clean the upper windows.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yes.
Yes, you would want to walk. You would want a handrail around that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you could do that easily. I mean, that wouldn't be the hard part, I don't think.
No, the hard part would be filling in all those slots.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see if I can get this to work now. Where's the share screen on here again? Come on. Pop up. It's there somewhere. Oh, try it this way. Share screen. Go to that one. All right, you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Full
was the
building.
inspiration for it. I do have the stairway cut, but you know, as with anything else, I'm always looking for a better way to do it.
Yeah.
One thing I did do on mine though is I added you can't really see it because it's not on this one yet, but I added an outhouse to one side of it. So you kind of need an outhouse with a building like this, I think.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, that was my inspiration behind this little guy. And then let's see. Do you guys see the lighthouse?
No.
Okay. All right. So we'll go back, go to this one, and then there. There we go.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's
Interestingly
cool.
enough, that roof that's on this one is the same roof as on the other building. I just took a
Now that
stab.
one has a walkway around it.
This is actually based on a lighthouse that's up in Michigan. And I've been working on this thing. This project is it's probably about 1.5 years old. Originally, it started out life with a square lantern room on top, and it's evolved into this. But that'll be a pretty neat project. Let's see what other pictures I have in here. Yeah, here's a good example of what the roof looks like. That middle piece. Although this is just a development picture because since I took this picture, there's actually a piece where that solid section actually goes all the way out to meet the walls.
Okay.
And there it is sitting on the laser.
It
Is
looks
that,
almost like a converted church.
I was just gonna ask, is that your
Yeah.
church kit?
It does look like a church. That may be a future development of it. We'll see.
Yeah, take
I
off,
just
take
put
off
a
the
bell
Lannon
in it.
room and put a belfry up there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought that was your church kit at first.
No. Yeah, there's the underside. This is one of the things I was working on. I actually screwed it up, but I think it actually came out pretty nice the way it is.
Yeah.
Because my original intent was for these supports for the deck to actually be 2 on each side, and to support, as you see in the right on this right edge over here, there's no support underneath it, and I was looking to do that, and I started messing with it, and it was like, you know what? Let's just leave it the way it is. It's fine. I
Yeah.
like it the way it is now. There is prototype 2, and then the current, the one I showed you pictures of, basically prototype 3.
Mm.
And then you see behind it, you'll see the traffic tower. That's an earlier version of the traffic tower.
cool.
That is really similar to a building that was in Portland, Oregon, before they cut the ring road around downtown. And it was a very old church that had been converted into a synagogue by chopping the cross off the top.
Huh.
But it was a little building like that.
Are the stairs inside the tower part?
There are not.
I mean, on the original building, were there stairs going?
I think so, yeah.
Huh.
You want to, let's see, why don't I stop screen sharing, and then I'll go and see if I can find the pictures that I used for it.
That's an interesting model.
Yeah, thanks.
Have you ever seen one of your little watchtower things where the stairs wrap around it?
Yeah. Let's see here. Where did I bury that thing?
But I like your idea of the outhouse.
Okay, so they're not in this folder. Sorry, guys. I mean, we're doing this on the fly right now, so if I'd known, I would have been a little better prepared.
Well, you didn't know, we didn't know either. Thank you for doing it for us.
Sure. Let's see here. Where is it? And then lighthouses. There we go. There it is. Okay, here we go. That's the original right there.
Oh,
Yeah, there had to have been stairs or a ladder or something to get up there.
Yeah,
I
I
wouldn't
did
think a
find
ladder, but maybe.
pictures of it that are much older. I just don't see them at the time right
Yeah.
now. I'm sure I know I've got them buried away somewhere. But this is a neat looking little building. So far as I can tell, it's still intact. Be an interesting project for somebody to go and restore it. So I think it's
Yeah.
definitely a really neat building.
Probably a landmark
Yeah. In fact,
in more ways than one.
okay, this is actually, here's the name that's on it. It's Grand Island East Channel Lighthouse.
Oh,
And
So
where is
anybody-
that? In Michigan?
Yes.
I'll be darned. Upper
Yeah.
Peninsula or?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Sure, it wouldn't be too hard figured out.
no,
Grand
what
Island,
was the name of it? Grand Island?
East Channel Lighthouse. Yep, I'm Googling it, and it is Let's see. It is on South Bay, Grand Island. It's on Lake Superior.
Okay,
Nearest real town is Marquette.
okay,
Oh, yeah.
Marquette is to the west.
yeah,
Says it's just north of I can't pronounce it. Munising or something like that.
Yep. Munsing. Yeah.
Yeah. Intended to lead boats from Lake Superior through the channel east of Grand Island into Munising Harbor. Constructed 1868.
I got to admit, it looks more like a church than a lighthouse, though.
Yeah, it does.
It really does.
Well, maybe that'll be a future development. But yeah, those are the big projects I've got working on. Actually, I think I did show. I don't know, Dylan. Did I show you the other one that I was working on? I know I contacted you about it.
Yeah, you mentioned it to me. I didn't. You mentioned it was boxy.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see if I can find that one.
are you gonna make these into kits, Chris?
At least the lighthouse I want to, probably the traffic tower also.
I like that little traffic tower.
Yeah, I think with a little bit more detail work on it, I think it'll come out to being something that's pretty neat.
Since you got your own laser now, are you going to be offering more one-off and other scales and things like that?
Yeah, we'll see what pops up. I know I do spend because I consider myself to still be a newbie at it. I'm going to spend a lot of time doing development stuff. I gotta do a lot of trial and error to find out what sells and what doesn't sell. And
That's using a 70-tonner mechanism, right?
this is a crap. What is the Bachmann 44 ton?
So something, yeah, the little shorter one. I know which one you're talking about.
Is this the two motor or one motor?
It's just got one motor in it.
Okay. Yeah, when they first came out with that model, Bachmann had the 44 and the 70 tonner had a little motor in each truck, and the gears just loved to split.
Yes, Owen 30 guys found a very good use for using those power trucks for small critters just because they were so tiny.
I want to find one and use it for the second truck for a bogie locomotive.
Has anybody used those Northwest short lines? What do they call them? Black Beetles or black something? They're underfloor little motors.
Magic carpet, you mean?
Well, it's not a. It's
No,
like
he's talking about the Stanton truck.
Oh, the Stanton drives.
no,
Yeah.
no. I'm not talking.
No,
about
I've heard Black Beetle before, but I think that's one out of a company in Australia.
Yeah, the Black Beetle is out of Australia and they're out of business.
Yeah,
Okay.
because they can't get the motors anymore, I think.
The Flea.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's.
yeah.
But it was Northwest Short Line, I think, as I remember it. It was a Northwest Short Line product, but it wasn't the one that I used for the trolleys. It was another. They called it something else, Flea or something like
Yeah, I
that.
think it was the Flea.
Yeah, I think I have one of those in HO scale sitting in my boxes.
So is
I think.
anybody using those for ON30?
I've known a few guys that have used them for rail trucks because they're tiny. I have one sitting up there, pointing in this general direction, making myself disappear. Probably doesn't help, but Northwest Shortline stuff, from everything I've seen, runs reasonably well. They did a good job of putting the stuff together. I think they may have I wouldn't be surprised if it was just the single wheel was probably just an adaptation of something they've already done and just in a new case. You know, they probably already had the hardware figured out, so they're like, okay, let's make a single wheel for it. That's what I would guess. Without talking to the guy who developed it, I'm just guessing. Yeah. Just because from what I've seen, from when I was looking at it and comparing it to an old PDT, they're very similar from what or at least from my eye. Maybe the gear ratios are different. I don't know.
Remember from he knows more.
TC, you're cutting out.
Connect. Thanks to the PD came from, and the Flea was a single truck. It's still in the catalog. I don't know if they still make it, but you can get lots of different gear combinations and stuff, all kinds of scales.
Well, the Flea also had an auxiliary Flea that you could make a 2-axle truck out of.
Yeah, it's just a gearbox.
Well, am I wrong? Wasn't it the same principle as their Magic Carpet?
No, it's different. The Flea is just a right angle gearbox. I don't know what the gearing all is on the inside. I've never taken one apart. Whereas the Magic Carpet was actually a traction motor. You had a really short, fat motor down in the truck, and it went out, and there was gears on it down to the axle, spur gears.
And the Flea isn't like that?
No,
No,
the Flea, the motor is at a right angle, 90 degrees and above the axle.
So you have to have a gearbox and everything with the Flea then?
It is the Flea is the gearbox.
So all you do is attach it to the axle?
It is,
It's
no,
already
the
whole thing's self-contained.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's got, the axle goes through and it's got 2 wheels out, right?
Yep.
well, yeah, you got a place for the motor shaft to come in, and then below it you got the axle.
But it doesn't have a motor?
You pick when Northwest Shortline was in Seattle, you could tell him what motor you wanted of all
Yeah.
the Sagamis that he had.
So it was a self-contained unit with the motor, right?
yes,
So it basically then it's the same thing as the Magic Carpet,
no,
no?
no.
Totally. Magic Carpet was a truck with 2
I understand.
axles.
I understand, but this serves the same principle. You got power to 2 wheels, right?
Well, okay, from that point of view, yes.
So if
But-
I put 2 of those, I've got power to a 4-wheel truck, right?
Yes, if you got to do all the one of the main differences is the Flea was up here like this. Okay, so you can't see my fingers. So the Flea, you had a motor with a shaft coming out, and then right angle to it below it was the axle.
Okay,
With the Magic Carpet, you had the motor was parallel to the axle
okay,
and down next to it.
right.
So you're accomplishing the same thing. You're
Therefore,
powering an axle, but a totally different way of going about it.
okay, but if I attach that Flea and a blank set of wheels and put a side frame on it, I've got a 4-wheel truck with power, right?
You'd have to have an auxiliary Flea to go with the Flea.
Have to have what?
You'd have to have an auxiliary Flea to go with the Flea. I
Okay.
found a picture of a Flea.
So
And
if I have that, then I've got a 4-wheel power truck, right?
you can accomplish that, yes.
Okay. So my question is, instead of all of the Bachmann and all of that, has anybody tried just to use that Flea technology with 4-wheel trucks in ON30?
That's a good question. I mean,
What's the cost of 2 Fleas versus a Staten Drive?
that's a good question. The Stanton Drive's like $45.
Well, Staten Drive with the motor is about 85.
Oh, that's a good point because it is more. I'm
Yeah.
just
You can get it with or without the motor. And with the motor, I mean, they're really nice. They're very DCC friendly. They're really solid, solid, good mechanical technology.
And that works the same then as what I use, the Magic Carpet.
I think it would. I think it would accomplish the same thing, Jim.
Okay. So, well, let me rephrase how about that? Are people using, I keep hearing people talk about we're using Bachmann trailer or frames and so forth. Anybody using the Staten or these Flea technologies for powering their ON30?
Well, I know Fran uses the Stanton drives with one of the locomotives he's designed.
Yeah, I've got the Staten, and you got a wide choice of Staten, wide choice of wheelbase and wheels. I don't know how well you'll be able to see it, but
Yeah, let me unshare so you can have it. There's a Flea,
Okay, I see what you're saying.
and I'll go looking for a Magic Carpet.
yeah, this is that early Plymouth that
Okay,
I released. I don't have a Staten drive that's not mounted, but if you look at the bottom, you can see solder tabs where I think you can add lighting. You can do it.
right, I see what you're saying.
But you can also cut the connectors on that and put a decoder in between.
Right. It comes for DCC, but these wires, I mean, it comes for DC, but all you have to do is, you see it, no, sorry, I got bad lighting here, but you just need to disconnect a couple wires and run them to your decoder. And then it's DCC, but it'll run DC when you get it. And they're really good solid powering units. I call them, for me, they're kind of expensive. They're $85, and you don't get no brake like you do with Lambert locomotive.
Notice how he put that in there.
Well, here's one that's unmounted. As
There
you
you
can
go.
see,
That's a Stanton drive?
That's
This
a
is
Stanton
Stanton
drive.
Okay.
Okay, I've got some stuff here to.
Do they make those in O scale?
Yeah, they do.
Oh, they got them at N scale.
Do they?
Yeah.
ON3 and ON30 wheelbase, variety of wheelbases, and I think a variety of driver sizes, small variety of driver size.
I got you. Huh. I could use those for my trolleys, couldn't I?
yes,
Yeah.
You absolutely could, Jim.
yeah. And another interesting thing is it actually has a coupler pocket on it, which you can cut off and just have that portion off it also.
Gotcha.
And then you also got the color coded for DCC, but if you're using just regular DC, just keep the wires together.
Put some side frames on it and I'm ready to go.
Absolutely.
I never even heard of them before. Where are they? Are they US or?
Yes, Northwest Short Line.
Northwest Short Line. The original owner sold out to a guy in backwoods, Montana, and then his wife died, and he sold out to his two machinists. Paul, what city are they in?
I can actually look it up right now.
I think they're in Kalispell.
Okay.
I thought they were in Montana somewhere.
Yeah, that's what he was saying, Kalispell, Montana.
Does anybody know the people that own it right now? Because I
Never
think,
met him.
I think that this really might be interesting. If we could get him to come on one of our shows and talk about these things, I think this would be interesting.
You know, it's funny. I was just going to suggest that.
That would be interesting to hear them talk about their stuff.
Because all I hear you guys talk about is, well, I'm using the Bachmann so-and-so 44 tonner or the Bachmann blah, blah, blah. I don't hear you guys talking about this kind of stuff as far as creating a powertrain for the ON30 stuff or for HO or for any scale.
There's the magic carpet.
Okay. See what I do? I put 2 of those per truck.
Right. And most people did. And they, this is the O scale one, but they made a large scale one.
Okay.
I don't know what the guys are still making. And then I'm going to stop that. I want to change over. I just found this on YouTube, on the internet. This is very interesting. Now, I don't know how many people would want to go to this much trouble, but this guy, whoever he is, made his own.
Okay, that's brilliant. He's just using can motors and just gears straight on the axles.
Those aren't even cannons. They're little Mishima toy motors.
You know, you're right. I'm just guessing. You know what? I should shut my mouth, and I should actually. You're right. Those are just little toy motors, aren't they?
Yeah, and I don't know where he got the gears. Maybe out of China, or out of he might have got the whole thing out of a toy car.
Well, you know, it would seem to me that they would be much cheaper for power trains on this stuff. Maybe I'm crazy. I've never tried to build one like that. I've always used just the magic carpets.
Well, it would be cheaper. I don't know what scale this is in.
Because those little motors out of those little plastic carts, those can't be very expensive. I wouldn't think.
They're not very high quality though, also.
Yeah, you're right.
Very
That
high.
also looked like it might have been G scale.
You think it might be that large?
That
Could be.
Oh yeah, it's at large scale central. So I bet you it is some kind of large scale thing.
Yeah, the track in the back looked like it was large brass, LGB stuff.
Paul, do you know the people with Northwest Short Line that I could contact?
No, I never met the 2 machinists that Dave sold the company to.
Okay. How about you, Dylan? You know them?
I don't, but I have been talking back and forth with. I think it's their secretary.
Yeah, they're kind of hard to get through to.
Yeah,
they
Very.
See something recently where I think it's one of the guys that bought it. His wife is actually the one that probably Dylan's been dealing with. And there's a note on there about how she's pregnant and she's reducing her office hours because of that. Just background information, but
I know 6 months ago they were hard to get through to, and
Well, I will say this: when I first emailed them, I got an email back from them within a day.
oh great, I didn't. Yeah.
So,
Dylan, if you've got their telephone number, if you could email that to me, I'll give them a call, at least see what I can find out.
sure thing. I'll email you the link.
Because I really think this would be an interesting discussion if we can get them to come on the show.
I think you're right. It would be interesting. Let me pull it back.
What was the original owner, Paul?
Raul Martin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
was in
sold it to
Seattle.
Dave, and Dave sold it to the 2 kids.
He was such a nice guy. I talked to him several times, and I had a problem with one of his magic carpets, and he replaced it, no questions asked, and just a hell of a nice guy.
Well, I look at it like this. You should, like, you look at the repower kits that I do for the Bachmann rail trucks. I had one guy he said, "Hey, the motor's no good." I just sent him a new kit altogether because I'm like, well, I got to stand behind what I sell. That's the right thing to do. That's just the right thing to do. If you're selling the product, if there's a problem with it, you fix it. Doesn't matter if you're the greatest businessman in the world or not. You got to stand behind what you sell. You know, I learned that, you know, with Al's Oil. That's the way it was drilled into my head by my father and my grandfather, is you stand behind what you sell, period. Doesn't matter if it blows up in your face or everything works great. You got to stand behind it.
Yeah.
But if whatever you're going to do with that, Jim, you should go to their website and explore it. They got a lot of stuff, you know, pickup brushes, soldering connectors, bushings, springs, wire, gearboxes.
I will do that. I will do that. It's been a while because I haven't needed any for a while. I still have a couple of them I haven't even used, but I will do that. I've got there for a while. I was just buying them like crazy because every trolley I built, I've got at least 2 of them. Some of them I've got 4 in. And, you know, as far as pulling power and so forth, you know, I can pull probably half a dozen freight cars around my little trolley layout with no problem with a couple of those magic carpets. So I've never worried about it. And I've got one in a little diesel. I think I showed it on one of the previous shows. It's got a little eagle bird on the front of it. I've had that thing for 25, 26 years, and it's still running. It's got 2 of them in there, and all I do is put a little grease on it every once in a while and put it back in the track.
Yeah.
So I've never had any problem. Now I've heard other people say, "Oh no, dirt gets in the gears and this and that," and they've had all problems with it. I haven't. I don't lubricate them, you know, a tremendous amount. I put a little bit on, but not a whole lot. But I've
You
never
wouldn't want to have a cat on your layout and have those. Get cat
What?
hair in the gears.
See, I don't have that problem.
I do.
Chris, you got anything else you want to talk about, or is that what you wanted to share?
Well, that's what I wanted to share. I do have some, I did find the pictures of that lighthouse if anybody wants to see them.
Sure, I would.
Sure. All right.
Yes, that built up truck was going under something 1 to 29.
Okay.
Oh, that's a neat.
Yeah.
That is definitely neat. And you get a sense of scale with the guy sitting right on the porch.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
weird though, because you would expect the lantern room to be a lot bigger.
I guess the room doesn't need to be huge, just as long as it does the job.
Plus, you know, Lake Superior, you're not, you know, well, you're going out to horizon, but you're not like having to go so far beyond the horizon like a oceanfront lighthouse.
Well, and this is just a channel light from what the Wikipedia was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they need a new floor.
Oh, really?
No, I couldn't have guessed. I think they need some new walls too. This looks a little bit like it's out of Fallout, but that's the nerd in me talking.
It looked like they tore a bunch of stuff out because that's lath.
Yeah, they should have used sheetrock, right?
Yeah.
A little bit of sandpaper.
I
should-
don't think it
okay.
existed.
I wonder if they do have circular stair inside that going up.
It's probably an angular 4-sided thing.
It's probably back and forth. Circular stairs are pretty technical to build versus a regular carpenter can put those zigzag stairs in.
Yeah.
I don't remember where.
That is literally one of those places that's just in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Those are stairs. You just had the drawing for the stairs.
that was for a round one. That was something.
Yeah, it
else.
was a different.
Oh, it's got a stone foundation.
Yes. In fact, that's one of the things I did between the last prototype and this one is I actually reduced that because I was having an issue with the stairs. So I figured one way to fix that would be to reduce the foundation size. And that's actually good because what it'll allow me to do is, because this particular lantern is a lot taller than the previous, it looks out of scale. So I'm actually gonna take and give some more height to the tower, because what I'm looking at is I'm using a piece of wood that's 6 inches tall. So I need to get it to about 5.5 inches, somewhere in there. So it'll help me scale it better.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a neat kit if you decide to build it, Chris. That really is.
I
Yeah,
like these old pictures, Chris.
What's that?
I like these old pictures.
Yeah, it took a lot to research to find them. Some of them you can pop right up when you Google them, but others you got to kind of dig for a little bit.
That'd make a great scene though for a railroad.
Yeah.
That one just before this, it didn't have the lean-to on it. Not that one, the next one. The lean-to's not on the back.
Yeah. I think at some point when they abandoned this lighthouse, they actually did a lot of things to keep people out of it. I think they took the lean-to, which I'm assuming is a kitchen. They took that off. They took the stairs off, and boarded up the windows.
Yeah.
Well, from the interior shots, I'd say that somebody with a little bit of creativity probably got in there. Or a ladder. Maybe they went out on a boat with a ladder and brought the ladder with them. Who knows? Somebody has been in there. Because
Yeah.
I mean, you can even look. Some people have been carving names into the backs of the boards.
Yeah, I'm sure people would just take their motorboat or whatever up to the island. Looks like it says Keith or something right there in the middle.
Yeah.
There's some more plywood in there. You know, it's always interesting to see these old structures, but you'd almost wish that it's in an easier location to take care of it. You know what I mean? Because I mean, middle of nowhere is always a pain in the butt.
Well,
Yeah,
and there's no
it's
roads
hard
to
to
it,
get to.
apparently.
And if you notice, there's some wood on the lower right corner of this picture that looks fairly fresh.
Yeah, it does look fresh, doesn't it?
So I wonder if there's like a lighthouse society or something that maintains it.
Or at least tries to maintain it.
Yeah, they may not be in a restoration effort, but they may be in an effort to
Conserve
it.
keep it up for when they can get to it.
Yeah. Well, that's
Very
neat.
interesting.
But
Anybody else have anything they'd like to talk about?
Oh.
Bob, how about showing that barn that you built in O scale?
It's hard to see it with the camera thing. Got the shingles today. The shingles are ordered a couple weeks ago, and it's just in Miami for a week and bit. I don't see that okay, but
Yeah.
this is going to be for a museum. I volunteer at a pump house museum downtown, and it's going to be a little, just like they have a whole scale 1,500 feet of track layout in there, and they it's really just the guy that built it did all by hand. They built the turnouts by hand. They did all the coils for the switch motors by hand, overhead powering, third rail powering as well, and the whole thing is all metal, and it's really hard to dress it up. So right now I'm just trying to just do something to make it a little but nicer anyway. So that's
Oh, that'd be great. That would be great. Well, that's a good looking model you're building.
yeah. I've just did that in my head, and because anyway.
It looks good though. What was it? Oh, sorry, I'm cutting you off, Jim.
No, go ahead.
There's a museum that I volunteer with. Obviously last week and then this week I can't be there, but it's called the American Heritage Museum. And what I've been noticing is they've got a few modelers there too. They mostly model like military stuff, or for instance, one of them I think did the model of the U-boat because so basically, preface of the museum, it's basically a lot of military equipment. So tanks, things that look like tanks, basically things that if send significant emotional events downrange, or at least devices that would cause a significant emotional event. Really cool stuff. And you know, they've got
lack of emotion.
Oh, there's going to be no lack of emotion when you get hit in a tank. There is no lack of emotion. It's, oh my God, we're getting shot at.
There might be lack of emotion forever.
Yeah, you would hope not, though. I mean, they've got some tankers that volunteer there, or some artillery guys, but they've got some modelers there, and one of them did up a model of a Type 7 U-boat because they have the flak tower assembly that was on, or they think it was on one. I remember talking to somebody before I started volunteering there, and they're not sure if it was ever mounted. But in a U-boat, before they started going to snorkels, and yes, did I really just say that like that? Yes, I did. Before they went to snorkels, so basically they could just run the diesel engine while underwater. They had to surface, and they realized, okay, there's aircraft up here. The aircraft want to kill us because we're U-boats. We might want to be able to defend ourselves from those aircraft. So here's the problem. On a submarine, there's not much real estate. So they built this sheet metal and basically this bolt-on framework that you could sit giant anti-aircraft guns on. 4-barrel 20 millimeters, 40 millimeters, stuff like that. Basically stuff that would make aircraft have a very bad day. And they have this thing there, and they have a model of the U-boat. And I've looked at it once or twice, and it's very well done. But they've got other models that they're starting to put out there, too. And a lot of these guys are just good at what they do. I'm there because, well, it's less, it's about a half hour from my house, and it's just a fantastic museum, and the people there are excellent. And they know what they're doing. And besides, I like myself some freedom, so that said, they're a great place. I love it there. And I say this as a train guy. I'm one of the few train guys there. I think there's maybe one or two others. But you look at some of the stuff that these guys have to do and what they start with and what they finish with, and I can't help but think, there's some modeling going on here. It's large scale, to be fair, but it's modeling. Not all of these tanks are original. And when I say original, I mean like the gun is original, or the paint job's original. They had to put some effort in with these, and they did a very good job with them. Now, most of them showed up restored, and all you need to do is add your fluids and you can run them. In theory, probably some other work you have to do to them when they've been sitting for years on end, but that's just a guess. And what they've also mentioned when I was talking to the guy who was training me, he's like, yeah, no, we can run this stuff. Might take us a day or two to get it ready, but they can do it.
There's a tank museum in Texas that has a back lot where you can actually drive the things.
I would love to learn how to drive it. I would, just so I could say I know how to drive a tank. That would be fun. It really would. Because how many people can say they know how to drive a tank that aren't in the Army? Or especially how many people can say, okay, I know how to drive a Sherman, or I could drive a Chaffee, or whatever tank they have out that you're running that day. Not many people could say that. And to me, that's kind of cool. It's like people who can run a steam locomotive. There's not many people that can do it.
Now, there'd be an interesting subject, Jim. Get Trevor Marshall to come on here.
Yeah.
Talk about running those SN2 locomotives.
Yeah.
He's with the it's in Maine, Maine Narrow Gauge Museum. He's a member of that.
Trevor Marshall. I think I have heard that name before.
Yeah, I have too.
You want contact information?
If you don't mind sending it to me.
I can do that.
I'll tell you, one of the things with those Maine museums, and I think some of you guys more narrow-minded among us might agree. It seems there's a conflagration of brains so than a lot of other museums get. Like,
What about the guys that bought the East Broad Top?
they're good. I will give them that. But I'm just going off of people that I know because I've met some of these guys. At the same time, when you have a locomotive that's designed to take all the weight through the firebox and you basically have to build a new boiler, you might as well have just jacked the whistle up and replaced everything underneath, which that was basically number 9. And even number 9 is still not perfect because, you know, they had to work with what they had. And
Well, modern boilers aren't even built the same way.
right, but they redesigned the frame and they got it so it can run properly. And it runs and it does good for them. And to me, I look at what they started with and what they finished with. And I look at people like Jason Lamontagne. If I'm pronouncing his last name wrong, I'm sure he'll find out about it and I'll be getting a phone call that says, hey, you pronounced my last name wrong. If I did, I'm sorry. But you look at what they do and what they start with, they basically start from nothing. You know, number 9 was okay. It was a historical artifact. In my mind, I look at that and I go, that's really all about what they had because it was worn out. It was, the boiler was not safe. You know, they did a lot to make it so it could be safely operated. And it shows. Now they're building coaches from scratch. They're building boilers from scratch because they had the machinery given to them so they can rivet the boiler barrels together.
Not only that, they're building all new vacuum brakes.
Yeah, that's true. They do have the Eames vacuum brakes that they built for number 9.
Yeah, well, no, I was thinking the coach.
I don't think the coaches have it yet. I don't think.
Well, there was an article about how they were rebuilding it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Making new molds. I mean,
I know they've got the vacuum brake stuff mounted on number 9. I don't know if they've got it mounted on anything else right now, though. I don't. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Maybe they have it mounted on other stuff and I just missed it.
Dylan, is the East Broad Type Museum, is that the club too? Is that the same organization?
I don't think so.
No.
East Broad Top there's a Friends of the East Broad Top that's somewhat involved. I'm not totally familiar with it, although I see someone wearing a WWF t-shirt.
Yeah. The Friends of the East Broad Top basically are rebuilding the railroad. They've been around since maybe even before the salvage company bought it and decided not to salvage it.
And they're separate from the club?
I don't know of a club. I know about the Friends of the East Broad Top, which is kind of like a club. And then there's the East Broad Top Railroad that just got bought.
And they're different organizations?
Yeah, they're two separate organizations.
They've got some heavy lifters behind the new railroad, that's for sure.
Some heavy lifter restoration guys.
Oh, and Lynn Motiger, if I remember correctly, was at the Strasburg Railroad for a long time.
Might still be.
I think he just retired like a year or two ago, I think.
Oh, this is his retirement project, huh?
Oh, I'd have to know the guy to ask him. But I think he was involved with Strasburg and doing their coaches. I know and I can't remember all the names. One of the guys I think was involved with Amtrak at one point. If I'm wrong, I apologize. I just can't remember all the names right now. But I just know I remember when I first looked at the list of people involved in bringing back the East Broad Top, I just went, holy crap, these guys mean business.
I don't know where they got a couple of deep pockets involved too.
I wouldn't be surprised. You would need it. You need the deep pockets to get started anyway. But I got a question for Jeff because I see the WWNF t-shirt and maybe he knows. You're on mute though, Jeff.
Go ahead.
So I know number 9.
Unmuted.
I know number 9 has the vacuum brakes on it at this point. Do any of the coaches have them on it yet?
Correct.
Or they do? Okay.
Yes. They have installed they're in the process of testing it out. And from what I understand, they've installed it on coach 3, which is one of the original coaches, and coach number 8, which was built at Edaville. I'm not sure exactly when, but they obtained that coach early 2000s. And they both had the vacuum brakes installed, and the I think they ran tests this past weekend or maybe prior to that. I'd have to look on the forum and see for sure.
Jeff, are you involved with the East Broad Top group up there?
I am not involved with East Broad Top. I am involved with the WWNF.
What is the WWNF?
Oh, I think we may have confused Jim.
Okay.
Okay.
Wiscasset, Waterville, and Farmington. It was the second longest 2-foot gauge railroad in the state of Maine.
Ah,
They almost joined the WWNF and the Sandy River, but one of the standard gauge lines wouldn't let them build a cross or build a bridge or something.
That would be Maine Central. Maine Central thwarted them twice. They were originally chartered as the Wiscasset in Quebec, with their goal is to get to Quebec province. And they had to cross the Maine Central, and the Maine Central required that they do it with basically trestle work over the standard gauge. Well, they didn't want to do that because they were short on cash, and they were going to put a diamond in, and they got the okay from the Maine Railroad Commission to put a temporary one in while they're trying to get things worked out with the Maine Central. So what happened was the Maine Central ran a train up to the branch they were trying to cross, and anytime they tried to put the diamond in, they'd run the train across it.
Really, sweetheart.
do you model that railroad?
Pardon?
Do you model that railroad?
To some extent. I'm part of a group of modelers. We model in HON 30. We attempt to model the 2-foot gauge railroads that ran in the state of Maine. And our modules depict certain locations along that line, as well as a bunch of generic New England or generic Maine modules.
Well, listen, would you and your group like to be the featured model on one of our shows? I've been trying to find and hook up with somebody that models those kind of railroads, and I haven't been able to hook up with anybody yet. So if you guys are doing it, I'd love for you to come on and talk about the 2-foot gauge stuff you're doing.
Okay, I'll talk with the guys. One of our members is Pete Magoon, who is currently the NMRA president.
Uh-huh.
We're scattered all the way from Traverse City. Pete is.
We won't hold that against him.
Well, we try not to. We're scattered all the way from Traverse City, Michigan, down to Cincinnati, Ohio.
Oh my goodness.
So we get together. Well, we have been getting together maybe 2-3 times a year, but this year's kind of been messed up, as you all know. I'm from near Toledo, Ohio, which kind of puts me in the middle of everything.
Jeff, let me have Dylan send you by chat my email address.
Okay.
Because if you and maybe a couple of guys could come on, show us some of the modeling modules that you have, talk about your shows that you do and the railroads that you're trying to model in 2-foot. I think that would be fantastic because it's a subject that I hear people talk about, but that's all I hear about it. I hear the talk about people doing 2-foot, but you're hitting very well. I haven't been able to find people before that I could meet and talk with about it. So if you guys would like to come on one of these shows, I'd love to have you.
Well, I'll put the word out to the guys and see what we can get. In fact, I'm going to see one of them tomorrow. So I'll put the feelers out and see what we get.
Dylan, can you send him my email in chat?
Already done, Jim.
Oh, thank you.
Jim,
Yeah,
if you talk to Lee Rainey, you ever get a hold of him, he has some connection to SN2, and Trevor Marshall did ON2, and he's at the museum up there.
well,
So-
if you'll send me Trevor's email, I'll contact him.
Yeah, I gotta find it.
I don't know him. Because, you know, I posted on Facebook before and tried to, if I belong to the ON2, I think it is. I forget what the Facebook group is right now, but I belong to it. But, you know, people aren't posting on it that much. And the people I've tried to contact, I don't hear back from. So they seem to be, you know, kind of private and so forth. I have no problem with that. But I think it'd be an interesting subject because it's the kind of it's an unusual kind of scale for people to talk about modeling in, and I think that's something that I'd like to give some visibility to if we can.
HON30 is sort of a niche of a niche. Narrow gauge modeling in general is a niche, although ON30 has kind of brought it out of the woodwork. But HON30, I'm not sure how many guys are modeling in it, and the majority of them are kind of steer away from main narrow gauge, and I'm not sure why. I think they might mainly like to freelance or do industrial stuff.
Well, there's also the Gilpin modelers.
That's true too. Let's see, who am I thinking of? Shoot, I can't think of his last name. Keith. He's up in Minnesota.
I want to say Keith Stanford, but that's wrong.
No, that's not it.
I know who you're talking about. I can't think of his last name either. You asked, therefore I went stupid.
What scale is he in?
He's an HON30, but he's modeling the Gilpin tramway that ran in Colorado, that ran to the
I know who you're. Yeah, hang on a minute. I think I have a way to get his name. Go ahead.
Yeah,
I've never heard of him. I appreciate the contact. You can find it, TC.
I just sent you Trevor Marshall's YouTube. You ought to be able to contact him from there.
You sent me an email? Okay, thank you.
No, I sent you something on chat.
DC, can you send it to me too, just so that way we've got a backup for it?
I can. Give me a minute.
Thank you, sir.
I just pushed my thing off the screen.
Jeff, I really do appreciate you talking about that, though. I'd never heard of that railroad. The reason I asked about the East Broad Top, when I got my last certificate through the NMRA Achievement Program, the last of all 11 of them and so forth, I got a letter from I forget Rick Shute sent me a letter with a pen. It said East Broad Top number 7. And the East Broad Top Club organization, I'm not sure the name of the organization, had given one of those pens to everybody that finished all of the NMRA Achievement Program awards. And I thought, geez, that's really special. I really did appreciate that. And I got a nice letter with it. And that's why I was interested in the club up there, or what the other organization was. It may have been the Friends. I don't know what group it was.
It's Keith Pashina that you're trying to think of. He's in Minneapolis.
Yep.
He's on Free Rails. He's got a modeling the Gilpin Tram Part 1 and Part 2, where he talks about his stuff. And it's good. I'm going to try to get his information, because he'd be another guy that would probably come on here and talk.
Yeah. You know, the other thing that I'm really looking for right now without much success. When the Wakefield, New Hampshire Museum was on a couple of weeks ago, I was really impressed that they were using model railroading as a way of keeping history alive in their county and in their city. And I'm curious about other museums around the country that are doing the same thing, but for the sake of me, I haven't been able to find any more. That's the only one I've been able to find so far in the United States. But I think that's just a wonderful way for a museum to try to preserve, their local history.
The North Carolina Transportation Museum in Spencer has a replica of the entire operation of the Spencer shops in a room inside of one of their inside of the roundhouse, I think it is, that's still up in N.
What's the name of it? North
Carolina Transportation Museum.
Transportation Museum.
If you go to the narrow gauge convention next year, I'm sure they'll be organizing trips to go there.
Okay. Where is it located in North Carolina?
Spencer, it's just northeast of Charlotte.
Okay. Thank you so much. I will call them. And that's an N-scale railroad?
It's an N-scale display. It's probably easily 12 feet by 20 something feet. They don't run any trains on it, which is a shame.
Huh.
But it's basically an exact model of what the shops looked like back in the 30s.
Oh, I'll be darned. That'd be interesting to see.
Yeah.
What was the railroad that went through there?
Southern.
Got it. I will call them. But what I was so impressed about the New Hampshire group is that they actually run the trains on the same timetable that the real trains were operating in that part of the world any day in 1909. That just amazed me that a museum was going to that length to try to use model railroading to preserve history.
Well, Jim, I know there's a museum. It's called the Adirondack Experience. It was started by saving the local railroad that was there. So that's part of their main display is the locomotive and one of the cars they were able to salvage. And I think, from what I understand, they actually have they modeled the entire railroad that it was. I think it was called the Racket Lake Transportation Company or something along those lines. But it's commonly known as the Marion Carey Railroad. It is considered considers America's shortest standard gauge railroad. It was about.
How do you pronounce the name of it?
Let's see. I found it through Marion Carey Railroad.
Marian?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Spelling is not my strong point.
And that talks about the museum.
That's the Adirondack Experience. That's the.
How do you spell it?
Ooh, Adirondacks.
Yeah, hang on a minute.
Yeah, it's unfortunately
I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I know I couldn't do it.
Yeah, spelling is not my. I can build a locomotive, but forget spelling of it.
Yeah,
but yeah, it is considered the whole entire railroad was basically 3/4 of a mile long, and it went from one boat landing to another.
Spell it out loud for me, TC. I can't write it fast enough.
Oh, It's on the chat.
What is it?
ADIRONDACK.
Start over. I'm sorry.
Oh, and somebody put a link in there. Adirondack. ADIRONDACK.
Got it. Got it. I'll contact them tomorrow.
Yeah, somebody put here a link from Larry, abandonrailroads.com or abandonrails.com.
Yeah, the Marion River Cary Railroad.
And here's another link from Fran.
The interesting thing about the locomotive is that it had no coal bin in it.
Where
Because
where was the coal?
it was at the from what I understand, it was at the engine house. So every time they passed it, they turned around, stopped, throw in some more coal, and kept on going.
That was a short railroad.
Yes, it was a short railroad. It was 3/4 of a mile.
So then you could have gotten away with that. That's almost like if you had a switcher in a factory. You've got constant access to fuel and water, so it doesn't matter how much it can carry. You've got the access to it pretty easily. You know, there's probably piles of coal all over the place. There's probably hoses for water all over the place.
There was the one where they said they might have kept a small bucket of coal in the rare area, but yeah, the interesting thing is that it had they had a total of I believe it was 3 horse cars from the Brooklyn Transit. And that's what they used to carry passengers and all that. But it also had apparently on the upper end they had a sawmill, so it was a full operational railroad.
I'll be darned.
Common carrier.
Well, according to this, at the Adirondack Museum, the locomotive is there.
Yes.
Along with one of the cars, according to this picture.
Yep, they were able to save. They took, from my understanding, they took all 3 cars and made one good one out of it.
Let me ask you something. Would you guys be interested if I started inviting these kind of museums to come and be on the show? Would that be interesting for you guys?
I could think of some interesting people in the museum field that would be interesting to talk to.
Yeah.
Just to hear their perspective would be interesting in itself. And it's I know we're here for modeling, but that's, to be honest with you, some of what these guys do is quite intriguing. And then you've got people like Orion Valmont, who at 15 is buying a boxcar and restoring it and just, is just plugging along. There are plenty of interesting people in the preservation field that would be worth talking to.
Well, let me ask you this. Another thing that a couple of people have asked me to write about, and I've just started an article, is small layouts, micro layouts, if you will, is some of what they talk about. And it's a growing trend in this country. I'd not known that before.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are going to it. And, some of these micro layouts, fit in briefcases, that kind of thing. Others are, maybe 1 foot, 2 foot in size, that kind of layout. Others are a little larger. And they call it small layouts.
Trevor has a blog called Achievable Layouts.
Yeah.
And it's nothing but little bitty layouts. I don't know how many articles he's got on here, but he's got lots of little layouts that he's built.
Would that be something that you guys would be interested in hearing about?
Well, actually, that's one thing I'm doing right now is actually building it's 8 foot by 1.5 foot layout, mainly because, well, I forgot which one it was, but they were saying on how big their layout is, and I'm like, that's about 3 times the size of my apartment.
Well,
yeah, that's a lot of people are living in apartments and they're doing little bitty N scale and Z scale are doing single town layouts. There's a on MRH. I can't remember the name of the guy who does it, but he's got a blog on Model Railroad Hobbyist, all about how to do different single town layouts. You know,
Well,
4 to 6 feet long.
I found a guy that's doing one on Taiwanese railroad. And it's
I lived in Taiwan. That's some neat railroads.
yeah, and I've never heard of it before, but to hear him talk about it, I was really interested in what he was doing and why he was modeling it and
A
how
lot
he
of
was.
Japanese, a lot of Japanese modelers do desktop, something the size of a desk or a little smaller because their homes and apartments are so small. And there's some fantastic modeling.
Yeah.
I've even had people say that they'd love to be able to go to Japan and study under some of the people that are modeling those kind of railroads in Japan because of the skill level they have.
Because they do such small layouts, and we've all had or even said the phrase "no layout is ever finished."
Yep.
And that's true with these guys. They every day they do some little 5-minute thing, and that's their relaxation when they get home. Spend a few minutes. There's some English modelers that they talk about these exhibition layouts, but some of these guys have even smaller layouts tucked in some corner of the attic. Carl Arndt, that's who I've been trying to think of. CarlArndt or something like that. I think he's deceased, but he had a whole thing on doing little miniature layouts, some as small as a pizza box, even in those days.
Carl's website is still online. I can't remember who the fellow is who took it over, but
Yeah.
It still exists. Been a while since I've looked on it, so I can't think of the website right offhand.
Jim, it's the one I sent you in chat yesterday. Same site.
Yeah, the interesting thing is the one group that I on Facebook that I hang out with is this. There's one that says small/micro layouts, and the other one is micro layouts. The micro layouts one is more, if I remember correctly, is out and sort of started in England. I think the other one started in the U.S. But every now and then there's this one guy from I want to say Japan. I'm assuming so. He turns around and does these beautiful little scenes on top of a Tamiya paint bottle.
Oh my gosh, that's tiny.
Yes, one scene was a kid on a tree. It's like with a swing. Another one was a I want to say a Z scale car that somebody was fixing and all that.
Well, Larry, I didn't know you were on here tonight, but Larry is helping me trying to find people to include in this article and frankly, give me an education on these small layouts because I really wasn't that familiar with them. I've had people talk to me about it generally and say you ought to write something about this. It's really a trend and people are going to it. So Larry, I really do appreciate you volunteering to help me figure this out and try to get to the right people on here.
I put up a link to a YouTube video of my micro, and I also put up a link to Carl Arnett's site.
Oh, I did too. I'm share screening right now. This is micro layout, what he calls micro layouts. I mean, these things are tiny.
But it doesn't matter the size. What I'm finding, people are spending a lot of time and a lot of effort and a tremendous detail on these layouts.
There's a guy on MRH, I'm mentioning it again. You guys really need to go to that forum. And he's doing, I think it's a large scale single module. It's basically an engine house and a turntable. and he's always adding to it. Every week or two, there'll be another little blog article he'll post. Oh, I did this or I did that. He designed a whole drilling rig. Nobody made a model, so he designed it, printed it, and painted it.
Huh.
Just amazing stuff. But yeah. So yeah, I don't remember who took over Carl's website either.
I think it was one of his nephews or something is funding it. I know it's someone in the family wanted to keep it alive.
Yeah, there was another one in Oklahoma, a narrow gauger that I think it's still going. I can't remember the name of the modeler though, but the website is just huge. Everything the guy ever modeled. Oh, that's a nice little layout there, Larry.
Thank you.
I won't play the video. That'd make too much noise.
Wait until you see his World War I stuff. It's fantastic.
I've always
Yeah.
admired the military modelers.
I wouldn't consider that a small layout though. Would you, Larry?
I don't know. It depends on where you draw the line. It's 19 inches deep, and right now it's only 8 feet long. So that's pretty small. It's going to be bigger eventually.
Keith's layout, his HON 30 of Gilpin has been everything from a 4-foot shelf. I think now a total of like 12 feet long, only 8 to 12 inches deep. So, I mean, a lot of people do really tiny layouts.
Ed, what is your layout going to be?
My layout, the way I have it, going to be having it set up is, one side of it's going to be like the John Allen time saver, and on the other side is going to be a very small ingle nook. So, and sort of aiming more towards the era, very similar to what's I have for my background and all that. Something where it would eventually possibly go to a much larger layout. But right now I only have enough room for just that basically.
That'd be gorgeous. Love to see it when you get going with it.
Yeah, right now the thing is, it is designed to. I have it so it's designed to sort of split in half and then recombine into a box, but I haven't figured out how to make it look, make the connections look pretty or not or functional, where I can take it in and out, because I do also belong to a modular club also. So it was one of those things, that's why I went that direction.
Oh, okay. So you're building in 2 modules?
I want to say it's more sectional, not really
Okay.
modules.
Okay. That'd be interesting to see. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, so will I eventually.
Well, listen, guys, anybody got anything else? Or well,
Hey,
if
Jim?
not, yes,
I
sir.
can show a quick picture of a shoebox layout I built.
That would be great. Love to see it.
Can you see it?
Yes, I can.
It's HON 30.
How big,
That is tiny, and that's also very impressive.
It's
how big
operational
is the
too. So
shoebox?
I'm sorry, I missed the question.
How big is the shoebox?
It like size 10.5 shoe.
That is tiny.
That is skillful modeling. I can't believe it.
Very nice.
I'd have to have a super microscope to be able to even see to build it, something like that.
Yeah, I was a little younger when I built that.
A little.
Yeah, like 10 years younger.
How long did that take you, Larry?
Not very long. There's nothing to do. I mean, the structures and painting the figures were the hard part.
I bet.
I never have gotten the knack for turning out good. For some reason, I can never make the faces look like anything that walks the earth.
I'm actually stuck at my beach place right now, and all I have with me are paints and about 100 figures. So I've been going at it. I don't know if you're going to be able to see.
Hey, look, it's Dan Wilshon, isn't it?
Man,
What scale are those, Larry?
that one's O scale.
I knew a guy that did windshield wipers on a Z-scale locomotive.
Yeah,
His
that's
figures look phenomenal, but yeah.
Well, I'm trying to experiment with learning how to sculpt an O-scale figure for the playground equipment that I built. I need kids to put on the swings and handle all the bars and so forth, the monkey bars. And so I can't find figures, so I'm trying to sculpt the figures. And if I can send this email to Dylan, I'll show you one of my one of my attempts here, if everybody won't laugh too hard, because it's not the greatest thing I've ever done, but it's getting there, I think. But learning,
We'll just put ourselves on mute so you can't hear us laugh.
learning, I doesn't make any difference to me. I've been laughed at before. I learned not to bother when I started entering NMRA contests and got laughed at. Here it comes, Dylan. I didn't bother a subject with it, but there comes the photo anyway.
I just posted MRA
Load.
blogs.
Just waiting for the email. There it is.
Ding.
Ping.
Let me download that. To be fair, Jim, they look a little bit like Donkey Kong.
Well, hey, they're getting there.
If they look good at 3 feet, they're fine.
You guys can see them?
Yeah.
Although I think one of them might be supposed to be Mario. I don't know.
Mario and Luigi. You got the colors right.
Oh, that's a good point. He did get the colors right.
They're better than my attempt. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I will give it to you. Mine would probably look like a squid if I tried. And that's kind of a problem.
Well, I don't know. It's always SpongeBob.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how are you going to deal with people going, hey, there's a sponge walking around on your layout?
Yeah.
Well, people throw in stuff like that all the time just to get a reaction.
Yeah.
I mean, what amazes me are these guys that'll put together this whole scene and then somebody explains it and it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
What
love
about
that.
John Allen and his dinosaur swisher?
Yeah. I love that kind of stuff. You know, something a little different that you're not going to see on everybody's model railroad.
Yeah, like where people take it and they'll put a theme to something. Like, what was I was looking at the other day and somebody had a scene from a movie in there. What the heck movie was? Oh, The Sting, I want to say.
Really?
I don't know. Anyway, it was a set from a movie, and they had duplicated it.
There's a gas station in southern Portland, Oregon that's got I think it's a B-17 or something.
I know the one you're talking about. They have it parked on stilts above
Yeah.
the gas pumps, right?
Yeah, yeah. Somebody did a model of that. Yeah.
There is
No,
a,
1 to
one of-
144 scale.
Okay.
Now I gotta find the picture of it because I. All right.
yeah,
Oh, it's
one of
really
the-
from the '80s that they did that? Wow.
I don't know. I used to drive by it all the time.
But it's still there, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, they took it down in 2014 because it's in a museum now.
Down the street from it is the only Standard Oil station in all of Oregon. Chevron Oil put in order to keep the logo going and the rights to the name, puts a Standard Oil of California in every single state. One. It's got the same symbol and everything, but it says Standard instead of Chevron. Okay. Who is sharing that?
It's
That
Larry.
would be Larry.
Someone asked me why one of my roofs at my gas station had a bend in it, so I had to explain it this way.
Structural sway, huh?
Yeah, I'll show you another one because someone was questioning something else when I was building it, and
Instead of a gorilla, you ought to do Bigfoot sitting up there.
I have a Bigfoot actually. Are you seeing a gorilla inside now?
No, we're still seeing the same picture with the gorilla on the roof.
Okay.
He owns that roof.
He owns it. Yeah. How do
I like the way you've done the sign on the side though. That looks neat.
Can you imagine the kind of chaos and hoopla you would hear if you put up an advertisement like that anymore?
Oh God. I could just I could hear the screeching now.
one of the interesting things is that one of my
Oh, there's the gorilla.
there's the gorilla.
There he is.
So I don't have the picture handy, but there was a tire. This is the restroom of the service station. And I have a tire on the roof of the restroom, and they said, how the heck did the tire get up there? So I had to explain again that, whatever the gorilla wants to play with, it gets to play with.
Well, the guy next to him doesn't seem too astonished to see a gorilla in the tire shop.
Oh, that's cute. That's cute.
Yeah, if you go to Cat's Paw, they've got you can buy a 3D printed Sasquatch.
Yeah, Artista makes one too in white metal.
Yeah, one of the interesting things is that one of the members of the Model Train Club I belong to, he actually turned around and he did the South Glens Falls, New York local. He got the locomotive, got the right cars, he did everything. Even the crew from that railroad also was there. Nobody noticed it. But the thing is, what everyone did notice and was sort of fawning over was the Bachman gantry dance with the two guys just bouncing around and all that. But the guy did all that work into it, and nobody noticed.
Don't you hate it when that happens? I mean, that just, when you put all the work in and all of a sudden it's just, nope, oh, no, gantry dancer. Ooh, there it goes.
It's like giving a bunch of kids a bunch of toys for Christmas. The only thing they end up playing with is one of the boxes. It's like, why did I bother?
I remember doing that, so I can't throw stones.
I was always interested in the train.
When they get you the biggest, you find the biggest possible box and you just sit in it,
My
hide
cat-
under it, make a fortress with them. I can't throw stones. We've done that in my house.
I remember making forts by putting a sheet over the card table.
I remember my father helping us make the box fort too. But that was back when he, when his knees and his back were good, so he could actually, jump in with that. And of course, little kids on Christmas. My father's like a kid in the candy store on Christmas. He is. That's when he's in his element, like making breakfast. He could not be bothered by anything.
Well, listen, guys, we've been going here for about 2 hours now. So let me tell you about next Saturday, the 26th. Tim Gilman was scheduled to be our featured modeler, show his railroad, but he has to bow out this time. So we'll try to get him later on. So Dylan is going to tell us about the new things that's happening in his company, and also about his trip to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Evidently, they called off their train show, but they're having an open house, and invited the people that wanted to come by their open house to share their house at Kevin's place and Al Judy's home. So Dylan, I hope you have a ball doing that, and we'll look forward to Saturday when you can share what's happening up there and who was there and what you all accomplished.
Well, I'm sure there'll be plenty to talk about. That's for sure.
So
I know one friend of mine from 4 hours on the other side of the state is coming down this way. We still got to go through the collection that we picked up that I'm bringing down there. That's the main reason I'm going down there. Although if they invited me, I would have shown up anyway. But the timing worked out. So I've got the minivan parked in the driveway, packed, ready to go. So whenever I wake up, assuming it's sometime between 6 and 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, I can get moving.
So guys, I learned a lot tonight. I've enjoyed it. It's been great to see some of you and talk to you. And for those of you that are new, thank you so much for trying us out. I hope you'll come back. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something that can help you with your modeling. That's what these shows are all about. So gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. We really do appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Night night.